Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Today we are going to be doing an oldie but a goodie, and we're going to be stamping with water. So let's get started. Real quick, let's go over the products that you're going to need. I'm using Distress Oxide inks. The biggest one that you need to do this in the particular type of background that I'm doing is black soot. I'm making kind of like a galaxy background, but a little bit different. The stamp set that I'm using is by Pink Fresh Studios, and it's Forever in Our Hearts. It is a sympathy set. And there is a big key to doing stamping with water. Make sure that your panel with your ink blending on it has a ton of ink on it. And I mean a ton. You can do this technique with any type of ink that is water reactive. So like your Catherine Pooler inks, I think Stampin' Up inks will do it. I haven't tried it recently with those, but I think so. Of course, your regular line of Distress inks will do this, but I'm using Distress Oxide, say that 5 times fast, because I really wanted to have that oxidation for the butterfly image that we're going to be using. So like I said, I'm creating this very similar to a galaxy background. I'm putting all of my bright colors in the background and just ink blending them in different areas and making sure that that ink is really thick and heavy on there and making sure that it's nice and smooth. And that's one thing about the Distress Oxides. They're really, really smooth and absolutely gorgeous. They're just buttery. I love them. Okay. And I went back and forth a couple times ink blending this. I'm using a domed blender brush from scrapbook.com to apply my ink. You don't see the lines in it. There's no harsh edges to it. That's one thing that I really, really, really like about those blenders. Absolutely love them. And blending brushes, like the actual brushes that look like the makeup brushes, I like those too. They've kind of grown on me. I didn't like them when they first came out, but when Stampin' Up came out with theirs, I got several of them and absolutely love them. Absolutely love them now. So I went ahead and just added all of my ink, and I blended back and forth and added colors here and there. Now, before I add my black soot, I'm going to sprinkle this with some Distress Resist spray. I didn't want to put bright pops of white in the background. I wanted some of the color from the back of it to show through. So I'm going to sprinkle this with the Resist spray, and that way I have some of those sparkles of color that come through. It doesn't take but just a moment for Distress Resist spray to dry. Just if you have a big blob of it anywhere, make sure that you give that a few moments to dry. I actually did dry this a whole lot longer. I picked up the panel and waved it in the air and dried it a whole lot longer than it seems in the video. For the Distress Oxide Black Soot, I left some areas a little bit thinner than if I were doing a galaxy background where I do it a little bit heavier, pretty much all over the place. I did it a little bit thinner in some places just to leave some of that bright color showing through a little bit. I didn't ink the whole entire background with the black soot, and you can see those little pops of colors everywhere on that background. And take a white, just a soft cloth, and wipe off all of the tops of the Resist, and it just shows through so beautifully. Now I'm going to go ahead and stamp that panel, and with the Distress sprayer, it's perfect. It gives the right amount of water over the entire surface. Be sure that you cover your panel that you've inked though, so that water doesn't splash on it and you get something that you don't want. I'm using a Stamparatus by Stampin' Up to do this, and I just place my stamp in here and close the lid, and then I'm going to take my Distress sprayer and cover my panel, and I sprayed it 3 times. I sprayed my stamp 3 times. You can do this technique with photopolymer stamps. You can do this technique with cling stamps and with wood-mounted foam stamps. Isn't that gorgeous? Don't put the stamp down and lift it immediately back up. You want to let it set for just a moment so that the water has a chance to actually react with that ink and produce that image. So set it down, press just like you normally would for any other stamped image, and then let it set for just like a count of 5, and then pick it up. As a finishing touch on the panel itself, I went ahead and sprinkled it with some shimmer spray, and then I am going to dry that with my heat tool to make sure that it's good and dry, because I'm going to die cut that whole entire panel out with a stitched rectangle frame and then foam mount that on a top folding note card. I have the sentiment. I'm going to heat emboss that with black pigment ink and clear embossing powder, and then use a corner chomper to round out the edges of that sentiment, and that's going to be it. That's the entire card. Absolutely beautiful, simple, and very, 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 very subtly beautiful. I love that. This card is also part of the Make the Cards challenge for this week, and it's a theme challenge, and it's butterflies. So this is part of that challenge, as well as a sympathy card for a friend. So come over to Make the Cards challenge. I'll have the link below so that you can join us and show us all of your butterfly cards, and hop on in and see if you can become the next featured creator for this week. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm just going to play a little bit of music, and the finished card is at the end of this video and some pictures. Y'all have an amazing day.